at the US or any economy in the world today, exchanges have often served as kind of like that icon for the economy. They're kind of the central place where money meets ideas. And we've always served that role. And Nasdaq in particular really helped small companies a long time. When I first started at Nasdaq, we were really embraced the idea of helping small companies like Microsoft at the time find money. Basically have the capital in the marketplace found Microsoft as a new idea and help them grow and expand their business. And I think that exchanges continue to serve that very, very critical role within every economy. But what exchanges are today are much more than that. So today, exchanges at their core are technology companies, as well as marketplaces. And when I look at how Nasdaq grew and expanded, and how our role has grown and expanded around the world, it's all from the basis of technology. So when I think about what we do today versus what we used to do, today, at our core, exchanges kind of serve as the intersection between issuers or companies, investors, and the government. And that's the case here, that's the case in Indonesia, that's the case in Africa. Doesn't matter where we are, that is a central part of what we do. But what we do is we bring all these people together and all these other constituents, most notably broker-dealers, as well as analysts, indexers, others together to make sure that we are driving growth within an economy. We're allowing the capital to flow in a seamless way through the use of advanced technology. So Nasdaq today isn't just the provider of technology for our own exchanges. We have become the provider of technology to 85 other exchanges and marketplaces around the world. So whether you're sitting in the US, or you're sitting in Switzerland, or in Hong Kong, or Indonesia, or Nigeria, you're using the same technology base to allow for capital to meet ideas, and for allow that capital flow to occur. And what does that do for economies today? So obviously, we've been able to, the US has grown to be the world leader. Europe obviously has a very developed market. But if you're in Indonesia and you're trying to get capital to come into your country, and you're trying to allow that capital to meet the ideas that are in that country, and you want firms that are US-based, whether they're large banks or small, agile, technology-based trading firms to come in, you want to be able to use the same interfaces, the same technology. You want to make it as easy as possible. So Nasdaq essentially enables other countries and other exchanges around the world to promote and bring in international capital. And what does that do? That helps that capital meet those ideas in Indonesia and allows that economy to grow. So Nasdaq is really, really proud of what we do in terms of being an engine of change and an engine of development around the world through the use of technology. I would say that's what gets me up in the morning. It's what makes me excited to come to work. I've been to Indonesia. It's an amazing place. It's an amazing economy, and the exchange is extremely advanced. So what's really amazing about that is to see that no matter where we are today, there's advanced technology driving the world's economies. And it's something that I can be very proud of. So what is another role of exchanges? Another role of exchanges is to drive what I'll call a dialogue. We drive that dialogue between the companies, the governments, and investors, as well as among the broker-dealers, the media, investors, and others. So our job is to make sure that we're bringing people together. We're kind of an intermediary, a neutral intermediary. Well, how have we used that in the past? I would say that all of Nasdaq, New York, and others, we've all served as an engine of change when it comes to corporate governance. So promoting an improvement in the way that companies have to disclose information to you as an investor, have to make sure that they're running their companies without conflicts of interest, that they have certain standards they have to live by if they want to get access to your money. And that, to me, is a critical role of the exchanges, working with the regulators, working with the issuers, working with investors to figure out what matters and what we should care about, and therefore what standards should we put in place. Well, today, that dialogue is turning towards sustainability. And Nasdaq, in particular, has decided to play a leading role in this dialogue. We launched the World Federation of Exchanges Sustainability Committee, and we launched also with the UN a Sustainable Stock Exchange Committee, specifically looking at how do we change the dialogue around sustainability. So what voluntary standards should exchanges put in place, what mandatory standards should exchanges put in place, that says in order for you, Mr. Company, to get access to this capital, you have to be able to live by certain standards. And so exchanges are changing that dialogue. We're an engine of change in that particular case. And we've been working very carefully and with all the other changes around the world, because that's not a US issue, it's not a European issue, it's a global issue. So we have 56 exchanges from 21 countries, representing 38,000 listed companies and over $52 trillion in market cap. We're there representing ourselves, we're there representing our companies and our investors to figure out how to change the dialogue around sustainability. So what can you guys do to change the dialogue around sustainability? And that is, you can essentially have a voice through the use of your capital. So millennials today, I actually have a son who's 20, so I'm sadly a mother of a millennial, which is scary. So I look at it and say, well, number one, he had mandatory service in high school. It's the first generation that ever has. It's meaningful, and it really changes your mindset. I think whether or not you really cared about what you were doing in your service or not, it is something that's at least ingrained into what you think is, I should be giving back to the community. So you guys can look at that and say, okay, when I choose to make an investment, I'm going to choose to invest in a company that cares about sustainability. I'm going to make sure that if I'm putting my money into any sort of mutual fund or or Schwab or anywhere else, that I'm saying I'm demanding that there's certain standards in place. So the investors have a voice. The government certainly has a voice, and we bring the companies to the table as well. And that's what we're trying to do with some of our efforts around sustainability. So we can be an engine of change through our intermediary role in the dialogue. We can be an engine of change through technology. And so I do want to talk about, this is not a great slide, but because we used it from somewhere else, but I do want to talk about exchanges and technology for a minute. A lot of people think exchanges are kind of stodgy, I think because of what you see on TV. But the fact of the matter is, exchanges are among the most advanced technology companies in the world. And we can process more things in less time than almost anyone. And if you think about it, just a couple weeks ago we had something called the Russell rebalance, and we executed over 900 million shares of stock in our systems through an auction in less than half a second. So that's the kind of thing we're able to do with the technology we've created. And we can't do that by using, let's say, old mainframes from 20 years ago. We have to do that by using the most up-to-date and modern technology around. And what we also do in our role of providing technology to other exchanges is to make sure that they are also using the latest and greatest and the most interesting technology available. So we spend a lot of time looking at technology and how it's going to change our industry and how it can drive disruption and what our role is in driving that disruption. And this is kind of what we call the spectrum of disruption. So the first thing is speed and connectivity. It's been an area that we've all been, the entire industry has been extremely focused on for the last 15 years. And I think we've gotten to the point where we are using everything possible to drive down, to make sure that we're maximizing the ability for people to connect and we're minimizing the speed, or I guess maximizing the speed by which trades occur. But the next thing that we're seeing is also that the mobile revolution and the ability for a farmer in Nigeria to connect into the exchange and trade grain is a pretty amazing revolution, really. So how do we use the mobile technologies to make sure that economies are allowed to grow and expand through the exchanges? And we look a lot at how we can use that mobile technology to drive the connectivity into exchanges. The cloud is also becoming a major disruptor and one that we think is a huge advancement for us and for our clients in terms of the ability to store data, the ability to process that data, the ability to manage an infrastructure in the cloud, the ability to lower the cost of running an exchange, all those things that make exchanges and make trading and make investing more accessible to people. And then machine intelligence. And I would say the blockchain and machine intelligence, I think, are both hugely disruptive forces within our system that we are spending a lot of time investing in. We're building out an entire technology infrastructure that can support and use the blockchain. We are using the blockchain in our own markets, and we have a lot of, we're doing a lot of work with a lot of machine intelligence companies to look at how our data can be used to drive investing decisions. So it is an amazing place to be when you want to look at disruptive technology. We never stand still, we're always looking forward. And I think the exchange, what people think of exchanges are really very different from what we really are. We are drivers of change, we're beneficiaries of change, and I think that we are a very exciting and dynamic place. So that's what I wanted to talk to you all about, and I know we're not allowed to ask questions now, so I'll try to be available later this afternoon when it's time to ask questions. In the meantime, enjoy, and really enjoy being an intern. It's a great time to learn, to know what you want to do, and frankly what you don't want to do. It's a wonderful time to help you really prioritize and realize where you want to be spending the next several years of your life. So have a great time.